Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Chris Brock, who has a very big following on the social media along with his Facebook group. But more importantly, he is in the right industry at the right time. So tell us a little bit more and everything you know about what is going on in this world with AI.
There's a lot to it. I'm happy to share. My name's Christopher Brock. I have a couple different titles. I'm the CISO of the Pikwishani tribe of Alabama. I'm an enrolled citizen as well. So that's been very interesting to see what we're doing. I've been working very hard to put data centers on tribal land over the last few years, even prior to generative AI. I've been in technology for about 15 years. After getting out of college is sort of the first thing I jumped into was tech. And from that early success, I saw sort of the movement of social media and was waiting for that next new wave, which was generative AI. Though I run a company called Primary Hosting day to day, when generative AI came out, I was already using like IBM Watson and a few other AIs via the API. But when ChatGPT launched in November of 2022, I said, this is going to change the entire world. So I started a Facebook group. It's now called AI for Business and Life. It was originally called ChatGPT for Business and Life. And we've grown. We have about 300,000 great members that we have everyone from the very beginner to really distinguished AI and ML engineers that are in the group. So it's been a great community. It's opened up a lot of opportunities. I've been able to travel quite a bit because of it. Most recently, I was in San Francisco last week at the Cerebras Supernova event, which Cerebras is the fastest inference technology hardware in the world. It's 7,000 times faster than NVIDIA. So we already know that NVIDIA is the dominant player, but Cerebras is coming up fast. So I was very happy to be a part of their program. I got to hold their chip. I think their chip is like $10 million. Don't quote me on that, but it's really unbelievable. It's an 8x8 inch wafer chip. Before that, in April, I got to launch, I started a new company called Quantum Proof. I've been working on using generative AI to work in mathematics and solve proofs or create proofs. And from that, we feel that we've accomplished some really interesting things. So we've developed a what we believe would be a quantum resistant cryptography system for the future. So a very interesting space in cybersecurity. That being said, I'm not like always the geeky math side of things, but I can definitely go down that realm and happy to. What we've been working on in the last like 2.5 years is really just trying to help organizations understand generative AI and how it can impact them on an individual level at home and at work. And I think we've tried all the major AIs. I feel that I have a pretty strong understanding of what they're calling agentic AI now. So like how to do some really cool things with AI agents. We can talk a little bit about like how to do some research with AI. We can talk about even like the foundational models, like their pros and cons, and this like competitive cycle of new release that tends to come out like every week. But with that, definitely happy to be with you today and to chat about generative AI. So
this is amazing. I love how you're able to manage so many different things and like be on top of all of it. But just going back a little bit, what was the thing? What is the secret? Like, what was different in ChatGPT that made it so popular and so successful? Because when I look back, even I went through like the formal AI education in like 20 years ago, and I was like, it's just a computer program. But obviously we are making it do like all the donkey work, right? It's like think about the 1,000 possibilities and be a little bit fuzzy. It's okay if I don't get the same answer twice with the same inputs, right? That I think that's the core of the difference between a computer algorithm and AI. Like if we put 2 + 2, we expect a 4 from a computer algorithm, but with AI, we might be like, I think it's 3.975. or a
Right.
4.1, and we are okay with that. Like that shift in mindset is, I think that's what I call AI. And at the same time, what was different with ChatGPT, because these AI algorithms have been existing for a little while. They are maturing only now and being more useful now. But what was the secret? Like what made chat? What was the difference that people are so hyped up about ChatGPT?
So I think there's a big difference between working in AI for 20 or 50 or like Dartmouth in 1950s or MIT like in the early 60s
Yeah.
versus today. Like we're still using the term AI. I think obviously the transformer that I believe around 2017 that came out with like a collaboration of NVIDIA and Google and Sam Altman with
Hmm.
OpenAI and Elon Musk, and they were able to. I think there's a paper out there that's attention is all you need that came out.
Hmm.
So there's some really cool science that came out around 2017, but it's still in a very containerized lockbox for several years. It wasn't until I guess like November of 2022 that AI became cognitive and as
Mm.
opposed to calculating and really good at analyzing numbers and giving like, it's been great. The internet explosion in the 90s and the mobile phones and social, all of that had like a unique capability that we scaffolded on
Yeah.
generative AI. But generative AI, I think that what makes it the most interesting is it goes beyond a program sentiment analysis tool or a function or a basic API. It's much more close to how the brain works in the sense of
Hmm.
cognitive agent. And with that, it's that intelligence layer that has been built and trained in such a way of all of humanity's data being placed and digitized and being able to be accessed that turns out that solves a lot of unique things. So with generative AI, I think that that first person experience is what makes it super cool. You don't have to
Hmm.
be an ML computer scientist with a master's degree to do incredible things. Where before you better have a tech team to build some APIs and to build a task, and you could use your cognitive workload with your brain and a computer and build something significant. Now the AI is so advanced that it can help you think and reason through ways that you should build something, and then it can build it as well. So I would say looking at generative AI as a co-intelligence to us is what makes it totally different, a totally new invention, something that is probably as revolutionary as fire or electricity or the light bulb or clean water. There's these scaffolding things we have in society.
Yeah.
And this is by far probably the thing that's going to impact all of us the most because there's so many ties to once you have this AI, how do you embody it? Are we going to have robotics? Are we going to have this
Hmm.
robotics of abundance? Of because we're going to have AIs embodied in robots being able to do work tasks that could
Okay.
not be done without a person before. So I think that the thinking side of AI is what makes it totally different than
Okay.
we've seen before. Before it could analyze, now it can analyze, rationalize, think, research, and do the work.
Okay. So that's the secret, right? So that transformer that came up in as a concept in 2017 started becoming more of a real world usable prototype probably in 2020, 2021. And
Yep.
then I think 2022 is when we said, okay, I think this is able to do something. Let's put it to use.
Absolutely. Like you had to be a coder up until 2022. Like, and there were some early adopters, 2020 to 2022 for sure. There's some really great companies that came out in that time frame. Some have been disrupted pretty heavily because they ended up building a feature instead of a full platform, but they were the first to adopt the
Mhm.
APIs. So, and even myself, like I had experience, and that's why it sort of turned me on to the idea that AI is going to happen. Like I was working with, let's say like large lead databases where you have a
Mhm.
little bit of information. At the time in 2022, it could definitely say, "Hey, Chris, are you interested in trading in your truck?" For sure. And it could do that a million times to a million different customers with a little bit of data from a CRM. And I was like, it's pretty good. And then it could hand it over to a sales rep. And I was like, this thing's coming. When ChatGPT launched, I realized that the interface was so simplistic,
Mm-hmm.
so easy, that once people could realize that it's not a Google search, but a little bit more intimate and a little bit deeper, that it would change the world. So, and it obviously has. So
Yeah.
as this becomes more ubiquitous, more people are using it, and the technologies are scaling at such a rate that we're leaping orders of magnitude better every couple months. And I think we've not really seen this incredible bell curve spike that we've
Mm-hmm.
definitely crossed the chasm now. AI is here to stay. Now it's just on this incredible bell curve lift. And I think we're seeing that where do people fit in this bell curve? Because I think that, you might hear that AI will solve all of our problems and give us all the food and all the every abundance for everybody. And I think it really could do that. I think the decade ahead is going to be incredibly difficult for us to realize what does this traditional industrial revolution and labor market look like post AI and robotic world. So do you get meaning from your job? If so, then what happens when that goes away? More importantly, if you make money from your job, now you don't have a job, how do you survive? Big problems. But I do think there's going to be this ramp that as we continue along the bell curve and time sort of happens, we're going to start figuring out how to serve the needs of people. So what does that mean when work traditionally, as we thought, is no longer a necessity? So I think we're definitely moving into a world where there's a lot of questions on
Mm-hmm.
on what it is. There's a lot of fear um, of the future, maybe like a Terminator coming. I do see drone swarms coming. I see the warfighter like being first in line to automate um, their their front lines. But so that could be somewhat concerning on how you manage or have that great power. But
Mm-hmm.
as we move forward with people, I don't think that's going to be in the realm of like normality or Terminators going against the people. It's more how do we adopt AI so we can be skilled enough to interact with this current world and the world that we're going into. Understand too that the world operated without AI until essentially 2020, right? And
Yeah.
ubiquitous 2022, 2023. And so how in this infancy do we balance the future, not be fearful? How do we be reskilled in it? How do we keep up with it? And I definitely think it's like, how do you embrace it? So that's a big part of the group is just adopting AI, not worrying about like the ethics involved. Should I or should I not? Is it plagiarism or is it not? I think those questions are obviously no longer relevant. It's more,
Yeah.
how can you use AI in your life in a way that's meaningful?
Yeah, and I just keep going back and like thinking how much of an impact this is going to have in our world, and just how much of an impact it's going to have on the future generations. It's just amazing, right? I still think the schooling and the education system just takes very long to adopt something. We are barely adopting computers inside schools, right? Like it's still they're like, oh, we need to protect the kids, and only after seventh grade they can actually do something, or they can use certain apps and restrict them from certain things for all good reasons, because there is a lot of negative that can happen as well, but we have to protect everybody. Uh, just the whole process of making a child think mathematics or addition or subtraction or division or fractions, all of that will probably not mean much in the future, because machines can just do it. Really, machines need that, and they can just do it, right? Like if there's a factory that's making furniture, it's only that's the use case. Why teach somebody all of that on how to do it right? So how do we help more people be more educated on AI and the implications of what you see? I think this generation probably will survive. AI is not going to like we might have some job losses, some changes, but the next generation is the one that will be completely transformed into what is possible. What pieces of uh, education that you think from AI should be introduced in schools, in colleges, so they can actually be more productive?
I think the biggest advantage of AI will be personalization. I
Mm-hmm.
think, imagine whatever course you're in, uh, a math course, let's say, of any sort. Imagine if you play basketball, it tells you all about the physics of ball movement in basketball, but you have someone else in the class that works on cars, so they want it in more of an automotive speaking. But
Yeah.
you might have someone that, maybe like my daughter is like all into like all of this like facial makeup, like sort of
Yeah.
questions and stuff. So why can't you talk to her in like the chemical composition, but talk about the math and get them to their endpoint of being critical thinkers that can
Mm-hmm.
understand that program, but being able to personalize it, that it's actually designed in a way that's going to teach them at their own rate, at their own
Yeah.
speed, and in the language that they would be most comfortable and most home at. So I think
Yeah.
personalization is big. I also think that we will get kids will get more benefit with AI. My daughter, she's been in piano lessons now for probably 3 or 4 years. And when AI first came out, so this is probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was like, this is so good. I bet it knows musical notation. And you just got to ask AI. It's like, oh, sure, I definitely know. So I said, all right, like, why don't you make a song that's like Imagine with John Lennon and then Billy Joel's Piano Man and then throw in a little bit of Stevie Wonder and like make this new composition.
Yeah.
And the AI did. It was like, it's wall text, but it
Yeah.
created this new song. And I showed it to my daughter. This was before, about an hour before a piano class. She's like, Dad, I can't play that. That's too complex for me to even play. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, how about Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? Why don't you remix Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star into a new composition? I was like, great, I can do that too. Put it out. And it created it that it started with Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, created a bridge, a new composition, a bridge, a new composition, bridge, and back to the Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. We took that to her teacher, professor in piano, and she plays this song, and her piano teacher almost had a heart attack. And this was before AI really got out. She totally
Yeah.
my daughter like reconstructed or recomposed this in a way that was pretty remarkable, right? And I was like, oh well, don't let her get all the credit. This was AI, but I'm glad that she was able to do it. But it just makes
Yeah.
engaging experiences more. So I still think my daughter played it. It's very authentic. She liked it. She enjoyed it. Did she
Yeah.
write it? She sort of did. She was sort of like had the idea, but she's the one that performed it as well. So I
Yeah.
think we're going to move into a world of enablement. How do you enable students or people that are first using technology to
Mm-hmm.
really leverage it? And I think that that's probably generative AIs and all the foundational models' big win is that it can be personalized totally to you. And as we're building this over time, and as we're using AI over time, the AI is even learning about us. And
Mm-hmm.
for instance, going to ChatGPT, and if you're a paid member and you've been using it for a while, you can ask it for a personality profile of yourself. You can say, "Hey, do a full CIA report on me as
Yeah.
a CIA reporter," and it'll create a whole thing like that. It could do a Myers-Briggs test. It could do a
Mm-hmm.
Clifton strengths. It could do all of these things that you've been working on an Enneagram, and it
Mm-hmm.
can help you learn more about yourself because it's going to start learning and tracking that. It can also, if you start using it a lot, it can start being that co-intelligence that you can bounce ideas off of. And since it has such a perspective that over time starts to mold around you, the person, that it becomes an intimate sort of tool set, a very powerful
Mm-hmm.
tool set, and one that I would think that no matter what, anybody, whether they try it or not, they can be I would say 2 to 3 times better than what they were doing almost on any task that's
Yeah.
cognitive, writing emails, stuff like that, people can do pretty easy. When you go to what Bill Gates said, and this was 20 years ago in his book, he wrote and said that software is like the only place you can be 50 times better than the competition, right? And that was
Yeah.
15 or 20 years ago. If
Yeah.
you go up to places like MIT right now, they're saying that you can be 500 to 1,000 times better than,
Oh
and I would
yeah.
read it verse like myself, which I
Yeah.
think it's probably a truth, but you could be better than the competition right now. So it's probably we're in this world where you have these enterprise organizations that are bureaucratic, and they have a technology group that says moratorium, nobody's using generative AI. And you're going to have these other one-off entrepreneurs where they're going to be able to work a lot faster, a lot more efficient, put out a better work product with a lot less.
Mhm.
And the real gamble right now with like Sam Altman is behind it, and I think we've already been close a couple times, that we're going to have billion-dollar companies that are operated by one person and using AI. And I don't think we've ever seen a scale remotely
Yeah.
close to that. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone needs to build a billion-dollar company, but with whatever you're doing, if you're leveraging AI, you should be able to find some more time to be more authentic, doing stuff that you want to do, because you can offset some of the cognitive
Yeah.
work on AI.
Oh yeah, and it's also like possible to do more, right? Uh, like as even within my own business, like I'm able to do so much more being just myself because there is tools and technologies doing a lot more work rather than me trying to do everything.
For sure. Oh,
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm working on now is called the 100x hour. And we've been doing workshops and things like that. But how do you provide people that, if they're brand new, amazing, awesome, sign up. If they've been using it, I still think this could help. But doing 100 hours of work in 1 hour is totally doable now. If
Yeah.
you compare it to how long it took before, you can go from concept to MIT's been really great to me. I have this thing called MIT Orbit.
Mhm.
It's a platform that you can put a prompt in about your business, and it can help you create your entire essentially business plan. One system's called disciplined entrepreneurship, one's called startup tactics. But in just an hour or less, you can easily create a new business plan, and from that, you
Mhm.
can you can do a deep research on your business, so you know competitors. You can see where the IP or the capabilities are. You can find out who should be your addressable market. You can then turn that into a custom GPT. So you can have a little chat bot that helps interact with your customers or helps with your internal team answer questions about strategy or about marketing and sales, and can help on that front. Then you can start building AIs to help you actually do a little bit of the work. I don't think you're gonna have one AI to solve them all. I think you're gonna have a bunch of little AIs that are doing a lot of
Mhm.
different tasks.
Mhm.
And what's really amazing now is like with the AI code editors or with products like Manus, that they can do a lot of work with AI agents. Manus, it is a Chinese product, but we're going to start seeing a lot more of these. That for a few tokens, cost like maybe it's $20 or $30 a month, you get so many tokens that it can execute research or work or build code or anything you're really asking it. And imagine you have one prompt that may give you a wall of text, and you're doing that in 20 or 30 seconds. Manus is going to work for 30 minutes to an hour on whatever problem you give it. So you're going to have that focused work on AI that
Mhm.
develops a work product. Then, if you're really good, you don't have to be a coder any longer. You can go to a platform like a Lovable.dev or Bolt, or there's several AI code editors. Cursor is good
Yeah.
too, but it can code out by using natural language, code out
Mhm.
something sophisticated. You could say, hey, build me an Uber Eats clone. It's going to be like, great. And within a half an hour, you're going to have an Uber Eats clone. Now, it's not
Yeah.
stores yet, but that's such a different process of
Yeah.
MVP prototyping that it's almost like magic. Like that's what makes it so amazing with generative AI, is that it's very hard to determine now what's like computers and ML AI stuff and what's magic. And we're sort of in this unique place that all of the computer systems are starting to feel a little more magical.
Yeah. Yeah. That is amazing. Yeah. So along with all the uses, uh, what like going a little bit on the dark side, what are some of the things that people should be worried about? Like,
There, I think there's two that are like total top and center to me. Like, your grandma being scammed for money is a big issue. I think the elderly are
yeah.
going to have issues being able to decipher what's AI content and what's not.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm on YouTube enough. Someone can clone my face. Someone definitely can clone my voice. And since we're moving into much more real-time voice, Google just showed some stuff yesterday or earlier this week about their real-time translation engine, that people can talk into a computer and the AI will sound like anybody they choose. So I think the elderly getting calls saying, "Hey, Granny, Chris is in the pen down in Florida. I'm calling you. I really need some money. Can you send me $500 or $1,000?"
Yeah.
That sort of scam is going to be an issue. I think
Yeah.
phishing scams have always been a perennial problem, sort of since in computer science and tech and for companies. It's going to be very hard to tell the difference between your bank login and your cloned bank phishing login because they're going to look identical and they're going to look perfect. So I think you got to be
Yeah.
a bit more mindful there. And then as a father, my biggest fear is honestly AI generated pornography. I think that's going to be an incredible issue that's going to impact so many high schools and so many people and hurt people really bad that even if it's not real, it's going to look so real that it's going to hurt people's capability
Yeah.
to sort of handle those sort of malicious attacks. It's one thing to circulate a picture of somebody from the actual world, and that's horrible. The fact that you don't even have to be involved, that it can be generated, could be so damaging to people that and there's not everything's in the United States where it's has some form of regulation. So there's definitely places that are going to pander to that capability. And I think that's going to be a really hard challenge to mitigate. I think it's going to take some education for sure. And I don't think we're going to be able to avoid that. So how do we educate people enough before it becomes like a community issue or a school issue at scale? And I'm sure it will. And it's probably going to impact every school at least once. So how does that happen? How does that get punished? And really,
Yeah.
if nobody knows the damaging impact that could cause, and they do it, I think that people will be too naive to understand the damage they're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's Terminator. I think it's real human emotion that's going to be hurt and reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. So, going from the industry and technology to a little bit about you, how tell me a little bit more about the community you have created on Facebook. How did you get started? How did you scale it up this well so quickly? And what was the reason to make it a little more generalized from Chat GPT? And tell me a little bit more about it.
Great. So my first run in tech was during social media's launch. Like one of my first tech companies, we built fan page apps, and we really let it happen on your end. You built it. So we ended up with like 10 million Facebook fan page app installs, and I got to see that scale of social media and got to work with some big enterprise companies. And it was a really great time. But I was also so young that I didn't realize the need to sort of develop a voice. I was just happy to be in the room. And blockchain, I understand and respect, but I was not like that. That wasn't for me. Generative AI hit, and I knew viscerally that I enjoyed it, I liked it, and it was gonna impact everybody, not just the people I work with. So with that, I've always liked the idea of Facebook. Even when it was not the cool place to be, I think it's actually coming back a little bit. And their group function was really awesome that you could create a group. When I first started playing with AI, I knew I was pretty early on, and I knew I was like breaking it every single day for the first like week and a half, like hitting my limits every day. And so I built this group and started sharing with some of my friends and colleagues, like, hey, join this. Let's talk about this generative AI thing. And Facebook showed me some love. So I started growing about 10,000 members a month early on. And from that, it just opened up this global ecosystem of people that love to talk about generative AI. So the first grouping of people were like usually the developers, right? Like it wasn't like the I've heard it on the news sort of people. It was more like, hey, I'm building and I've never seen anything like this. I've been waiting for an AI my whole life. So it was more of like a shock and awe sort of scenario where we were just like happy to be there and like following what was going to happen. From that, really cool companies and organizations, conferences, universities started joining or asking to promote their conference in the group or their software in the group and giving me access to their conferences or software. It was just giving me firsthand access and this front row seat to generative AI. So ran ChatGPT with that name until last year. And not that I don't think ChatGPT is amazing. I think it's definitely amazing. Last October, I did some really, I guess, viral things, and Facebook actually banned my page for about a month and a half period. So I had to write like their legal team using AI, and I got my Facebook group brought back, and I was concerned that I'd get like a takedown request from OpenAI using ChatGPT. So I moved
Okay,
to AI for Business and Life just
makes
because
sense.
the community was there. And from that, we've been growing our community. I still think we're probably throttled. We should probably be at like 1 million or 2 million people by now, but
Yeah.
I can't complain with how much I pay Facebook. I'm actually getting checks from Facebook now in their influencer program.
Oh,
So
nice.
finally, they're paying me to be around. So
Yeah.
that's been awesome.
Yeah, that makes
But,
sense. Yeah,
but
because even when I do any of my listings, I can't use the word Airbnb in my listing. I can say short-term rental, but just the phrase, obviously for genuine reasons, right? I shouldn't. We can't just use a brand name of something. Although brand, it's like using Colgate for toothpaste, right? It just people's mind are just so synonymous with the brand name itself for the product, and we can't actually use it for genuine reasons.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, definitely stay on the legal side of
Yeah.
things. So, but yeah, I think we're going up on like, I guess how many months? 26, 27, 28 months of generative AI. So that's about how old the group is. And we will hit 300,000 members, I think, within the next month for sure. So that's nice. We've been creeping up there. And yeah, it's just a bunch of great people that can share great content. We
Mhm.
do have a pretty strong post capability that like we want you to bring value. We don't want you just, hey, I just signed up for an AI and here's my affiliate link. There's not like that.
Yeah.
But if you're building something unique, it's the place to go to share it. If you want feedback on any prototypes that you're building, it's a great place to be. If you have questions and you're brand new, it's a great place to be. We also built the AIonlineclassroom.com. It's a mix of like learning management system and AI for Netflix or
Mhm.
Netflix for AI. So we have about 6,000 videos there that people can watch around AI. We even have an AI chatbot trained on all the videos.
Mhm.
So you can say, hey, I'm in tourism and I want to use AI, and it'll show you the videos that make sense for you. We have a lot of universities that are all their training courses on AI, so you can go really deep if you choose. Every video from OpenAI, Google, things like that also show up there.
Mhm.
So it's like this portal of everything video AI, and it's just
So
a great.
does it host the videos, or it's like it's kind of like a search engine and it will find you the right video from different sources?
It hosts the video, and the proper term would be embed, but it's all within.
Okay.
So it's all curated. We've curated all 6 to 7,000 videos.
Okay.
And then we have some cool tools that like if OpenAI launches a product and they launch a new YouTube video, it pulls it in. So shout out to YouTube for hosting it all and allowing us to do these cool things with
Yeah.
embeds.
Makes sense. So, going back a little bit on like away from AI into like the reality of tech, like most of our tech workers work like very long hours, right? And we make pretty good money at the same time. But how does like that was my experience when I was working. Is it still the same? Like, what does the life look like right now in tech?
I think we're seeing an uptick in startups for sure.
Hmm.
I think that startups are going to be able to get to a startup MVP faster, quicker, better, more efficient
Hmm.
than they've ever been able to. I think there may be funding because there's an appetite now for generative AI. You don't want to build a feature, you don't want to build a research bot last year because now you can always say what Sam Altman says, OpenAI killed my startup. Uh,
Yeah.
but we are seeing very unique startups coming out. I think what we're also seeing is that there's a lot of companies that are entrenched in either their software stack or their systems before generative AI. So with generative AI, if they're not they might be trying to bolt AI onto their this is a good start, but I think we're gonna have AI first design, almost like how we had mobile first design when mobile phones came out.
Yeah.
That AI first design is going to be so much better. Anything that I think that if you tried to build something in 2020 and you missed the window just because of time, that's going to be very hard to compete against a company that might have less funding but built from AI from the ground up.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be okay. So what I do think is that, and one of the surprising things when AI came out is that the big tech companies were in this AI arms race, yet Meta lays off, Google lays off. You started seeing these massive layoffs. Even today, IBM laid off, now they're rehiring. All these companies, it was so strange to think that how could you be in an AI arms race where code is going to be the capital of the future, but the labor, you're cutting out the labor. Initially, it didn't make a lot of sense. But it's because everybody is a proficient coder now. Everybody over a coffee from their phone can code with natural language. So
Yeah.
I think that this mid-tier junior programmer job that used to be a great way into the business, and somewhat if you could build a life around it, you had work.
Yeah.
I think that more companies may have coders internally instead of buying stuff off the shelf. I think a lot of companies that had a traditional track of hiring a lot of computer scientists are not going to have that need or requirement anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we are moving into a world where if you were a good producer before AI, you can leverage AI, and it's a phenomenal time to build, to grow, to program, you name it. If you're a middle programmer or just trying to get into that field, I don't know if there's a career path for you. There might be a job for you, but I don't see a career ever again in base code level.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is definitely a lot more automation in there. Like it doesn't take as much, but in reality, like on the ground, like the developers that are working for the AI companies, do you see that they are spending more time? Like what does a work life look like for a software developer that's probably developing the AI, right? Like is it still very long hours? Like what does it look like now?
So from what I found, I think it varies for certain people. What's interesting, some of the people that were good coders before generative AI have come out, sort of fell into a dogmatic slumber. It's not like technology for me, yet social, mobile, and cloud that came out, let's say 2010, like it was a little bit before that, but roughly 2010. It changed the whole paradigm. Steve Jobs said no more Adobe Flash sites, mobile
Oh
design.
yeah.
So it's sort of that was my first sort of introduction in social media, right into technology. But then technology didn't really change. Even blockchain is not really it's unique, but it's really just a general ledger and like a database you can't really change without people seeing
Yeah.
it. There's changes. So cool, but not, and that's not helping me out more than what I was doing before. What made it awesome with generative AI is that it renewed my passion for coding. I code more now, and I think I have friends that are coding more and coding better and saying yes to things they would before say, no way would I even try that, or I don't even want to be involved. So for me, I get such a thrill out of showing people an MVP that can be built and shown in a cloud artifact on the fly in 5 minutes that these companies or these people that are leading companies um, always wondered, how could you ever build that? I can show them with that little magic foundational model. Boom, this is sort of what it looks like. Now, this isn't a finished product, but if I'm doing this as we're talking in 5 minutes, imagine what you could do if you put some concerted effort into it. So I think that adoption of technology is going to skyrocket. I think people too are going to move away from SaaS models of, hey, I bought this SaaS tool and it does this, to AI environments where they're going to be able to tell their AI to, this is exactly what's going on in my business. This is what I'm trying to do. How would you solve it? You know what? I like this idea and this idea. I don't like that third idea, but I like the fourth. Combine those and build it. So I think that's what makes it amazing, that if you knew how to code, now you're like hyper elevated on what you can code. And if you couldn't code before, you're now better coder than almost anyone that's ever been in front of you. So we're in a very weird position. The cool thing, I think, is that since all of us came around to this point living without AI, we're able to push back on the AI and say, hey, you know what, AI, you're probably wrong there. Or, this guess is wrong, tweak this. I do think there's going to be an experience gap that happens over the next decade where in 10 years from now, people may not push back on the AI. And being told the AI is going to be this genius super intelligence, which probably going to happen, it could probably still be wrong, or the prompting structure that started it all may have left something out, just slightly, that makes its understanding of the world or its program of the world different than the humans version of how it should be built. So I think that's going to be the big difference, is that the experts using AI are going to have a tremendous advantage. New entrants into the world should find ways to leverage AI every day and be better at AI than anybody they know. And there's going to be plenty of work for them. And then the people that are just like sort of waiting to retire out and don't want to touch a new technology and just don't like it, they should work on figuring out their fast track to retirement. And everyone in the middle needs to be reskilled. Otherwise, like, I don't think they're going to necessarily be replaced. It's their companies are going to require them to outperform what the workloads they were doing before AI.
Yeah, so if I have to like summarize what you just mentioned, so there's like three layers, right? People that are coming into the industry, people that are established and in the middle of their career, and then people who are like, okay, I'm almost on the way out, but I still need to work, right? Like I think those are the three layers. So anyone coming in needs to know the skills. They need to be prepared for the future. Anyone in the middle needs to reskill or upskill themselves. And the people that were like, hey, I have 5 more years left, might not have the 5 years left. They need to like plan out a little better.
Right. But the great thing is that I think all the bad things that happened with COVID, there's too many to list. But one of the good things is that people over 45 or 50 started using Zoom, started using technology. They were using email before, maybe Excel spreadsheets, and that's where they stopped. But now they use Zoom. So there's this comfortableness with technology. I think generative AI, what makes it amazing is that it's the lowest barrier of entry. So if you are in that, I'm 50 years old or older, you don't have to fear this one. And it's not one that you should outsource. Usually think of technology, oh, I got a tech team for that, or I can outsource that, or I got to find my nephew for that. This is the time frame where you can say, you know what, I could use this and own it and understand it and use it my way. And I think that's the only way people really understand the power, is that they use it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we are coming close to the end of this episode, what are some of, like, you did give an advice on people that are within tech or to do this, but just helping out people, because when I like, I know you have been doing this for 2.5, 3 years, but and longer, you've been doing it as a group, as a community for last few years. But if somebody wants to make a transition, what the biggest hurdle, at least even if I think about myself or some of my friends, is where do we even begin? By the time we learn something or learn a thing, there is just 10 more things happening within the AI world. How does somebody actually make that transition?
That's a great question. It's moving super rapidly. So I'm not saying that you got to like drink from the fire hose, but it does help to get your hands on the technology, and not just, hey, I used it 6 months ago once and I wrote an email and it wasn't that good. Trust me, it's the fault. It's not the AI's fault. And the AI is getting so much better that using it is step one. Then like using some of the stuff just in the basic models, a researcher model, like you go into ChatGPT or Grok or a couple others, Perplexity, they can actually do deeper research now. So you can, if you want to do that, that's a great way to see how to build a research report about anything that you'd ever want to research. So I think that's helpful. Some people are like, well, I'm not a scientist and don't need that. Well, if you run a business, you can research market conditions and census data around your location. So you can at least know how many people could even be theoretically customers of yours.
Yeah.
So many cool ways to use it. The other is that use it in fun ways. Like if you haven't made a song, go to suno.com, make a song with you and your family, play with your kids with it, use it in your life and make a song with the kids. They'll love it. You'll love it. You're the winner of the weekend. And that's a big win. If you are doing anything, and I have two good friends, they run GAI Insights. And GAI Insights, it's one of the larger programs for education, training, daily news around generative AI. Paul Beyer operates it. And he had an article in Harvard Business Review right when generative AI sort of came out. And he said, when you're thinking of generative AI, think of WINS. And WINS stand for words, images, numbers, and sounds. So as you approach AI, if you're using words, you're using images, you're using numbers, or you're using sounds, turn to AI and ask it how it may help you write your text better, how it might help you generate videos or images better. Numbers are still unique. There's still some things on the math side, but trust me, it's going to be an Olympiad best solution soon for mathematics. And sounds that create music and create our voice. There's so many things you can do that are easy wins from every portion of your business, and things that you didn't think were possible can be possible. And it could be $50 a month or $100 or $200 a month. Small cost, big win opportunities are there if you just choose to seek them out.
Yeah, perfect. That's an extremely well said statement, and I love the concept of wins. Like I think that helps to have some boundary about what is possible, right? I'm not going to go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, find me a robot to clean my to do my laundry or clean my home." Some of that is already there, but I think that the word wins helps to create some boundary of where things are.
Right. Yeah. Until I get the robot that can do the laundry, which trust me, I want one to mow my yard. I want things.
It's not far. It's happening, but
and it's happening. But wins right now. That's where it's at, and it's totally. If you're doing that, it's 100% in that realm. So leverage it there.
Yeah, makes sense. So this was extremely good. As we conclude this episode, if somebody wants to reach out to you and join the community, can you just give them the name of the community and how they can reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called AI for Business and Life. You can look at your Facebook browser and find it. You can search it on Google and you can find it as well. So AI for Business and Life. My name's Christopher Brock. You can feel free to follow me. You can DM me. I think I've hit my friend limit on Facebook, but you can still connect with me. As far as some of the stuff that I'm doing, you can check it out at AI Online Classroom, or you can find it on LinkedIn. I'm over there too. So happy to answer questions, happy to help, happy to shoot you in the right way. If I can't answer it, I'll find someone that can.
Great. Thanks, Chris. This was a great episode. I learned a lot. I'm trying to restrict myself within the hour, but there is just so much to discuss. But thanks for sharing all of the valuable insights with the audience.
Thank you so much. Hope to join you soon.
Hey, thanks. Hey.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.